croeso and welcome to Tales for Wales, the pod that never fails to be the last man fighting for Welsh history, to be the kingdom of knowledge in a country, nay, a world of ignorance. I'm Jack, and as always, I'm joined by my plucky co-chieftain, Franks.
Arsling!
Today we're talking about a castle... Arsling! Today we're talking...
That was such a good voice you did that.
Honestly, I'm half expecting the door to be fucking booted off its hinges now from my wife and being like, you're being too loud, because I absolutely shouted
Arsling was so... That was so visceral. It was so... It's like you've been waiting all your life to call me Arsling.
Hope to God the fucking mics on this can pick up that, because I felt like the growl in my voice when I was doing it.
It took over you. It's like your whole life have been I bet you've been waiting to call me Arsling since day dot. I think you've been waiting to call me Arsling all your life.
Oh, that's like fucking... I hate to admit, again, I've done this before, but, you know, I'm not 100% Welsh Celt. I've got some English in me, and that's the Anglo-Saxon.
That's the Anglo-Saxon coming out.
Rained out in me, yeah. Oh, what can I say? Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, we're talking about a castle today, but before
we'll
that...
Talk about a castle in a film.
What have you been up to, mate?
Well, we just come off an episode with the lovely Luke Clement. Actually, we don't know what order this will come out in, but we just had a great episode about the Mabinogion, which is so insightful, very well researched, not like our episodes normally. This one's going to be
a guy who knows what he's talking about.
He's been on
We're going back to our old ways here now.
He's been on Mastermind, literally the cleverest show on telly, and now you're back with us, baby. I was thinking this the other day. I was laughing, so I was like, work was boring. I was like, head down a little bit, like quite easy, you know, nothing stressful. But my mind was just a bit like, I think Instagram is like genuinely rotted my brain. Like I couldn't focus on my screen without like my phone in my hand, constantly looking down at another reel. So I thought, right, put it away, put it in another room, and I'm just going to focus on the screen. Started working, and then I started crying, laughing at those photos of you as a baby. You know that one?
Oh,
that
God,
your wife
yeah.
You've lost so much weight since you were 1 year old. I don't know how you lost so much weight since you were
Not even like, you were bigger than proportionally. Just as a baby, I probably weighed 18, more than I do now.
You were a lump, 18 stone.
I was
built like
I was a good
16
odd stone as a fucking, I came out my mum. Fucking, absolutely bricking it. But basically for the listeners, I took
Can we
my
put
wife
one of the
to,
photos? Can we put one of them up on the Patreon?
Oh, why not? Why not? Everyone
Can we put that on the Patreon? So then that's a teaser for people to go over to the Patreon.
Yeah, because they are good. I say, put the whole collection up for doing a Patreon. But basically, my wife came over my mum's house one time, and my mum got the old photo album out. She had a few wines, classic, and so she was showing these things, and there was these pictures of me as a baby. I was a really fat baby, like a big fat bastard.
You just,
and,
I think you're not. You're just
some of them
unit. You're such a,
but also
unit.
There's one picture of me, right, where I look like I've had a proper, like, #1 buzz cut all over. I've been plonked in a fucking, like, it's like a sink. No, what is it? Like a sink bloody, a washing up bowl, basically. Yeah. A washing up bowl. I got nothing on my top half, and I'm doing like a proper like grin. I'm laughing at something. I look like a gammon, like a Brexiteer from like a local village pub, just with really great skin, because I'm a baby. But it's, I look, you could literally Photoshop me in, and I've seen people like that in pubs that are exactly the same, like touting about immigrants and stuff like that. But I'm just
you're
a baby.
You're like AI would make baby. You. You know, like if AI was like, AI, show me a like a, you know, like they make you do, like, show me an English person, but it's like someone from Birmingham, show me someone from Manchester, show me someone. If it's like, show me a racist baby, what would it be? Just you, just appear in a sink.
And there's another one with me, like, I'm in like a bowler hat and a feather boa. My parents just fucking dressed me up in some weird shit. And like, there's another one my dad told me, and I've got his little, like, he's got like, he was in the RAF for a bit, and he's got like, what would you call it? Like a flat cap type thing.
A
bit like Peaky Blinders-esque. A beret, And he's put that out, and I'm doing like this weird smile. You have to see him to believe. It's probably
because you knew he was about to leave your family, so you could feel that he.
One last good memory before you go,
goodbye
Papa.
before he goes. Au revoir, my beret. Sure.
Yeah, I hate berets, but I'll smile for this because who knows when I'm going to see you next year.
Sister Le Bon. That sounded like it was being really harsh, but it's a common joke that we make fun of your broken home.
Oh, yeah.
Some people.
Oh, what do you think about me leaving, Jack, as your father? Oh, bof. Yeah.
Bof, oh, Sister Le Bon, oui. Je ne sais pas. Je ne sais pas. It could be worse. You could have my dad, where I was thinking this the other day. On my wedding day, he spoke to me twice. One time was to ask about the waiter, and the other time was to say someone looked really shoddy. And I just looked, I thought, oh, brilliant, cool. That's it.
I remember you telling me this, and I thought, oh, wow.
That's Sister Le Bon. Yeah. Buff.
Oh, that is buff, man. I'm feeling buff.
I feel so giddy. I've just downed so much beer.
So for the listeners, before we had this, right, we had a recording with Luke, the mastermind guy, and he was saying right towards the end, it was like he'd finished his drink, but we knew we were closing up, so we didn't want to like sort of be vacant and grab a new drink or whatever. We both were like, right, in between the records, we'll go say goodnight to our wives and all that, go for a slash. And they came back and he was like, mate, I've absolutely just guzzled a pint down. I said, oh, should we start another record now? And he went, yeah, I've just finished my pint. And it literally, I'm not joking, it not even been 10 minutes.
No, but also I finished my pint when Luke came on in the first 10 minutes. So I was like an hour without a pint. And I didn't want to be rude and leave to go get a drink because I was interested in what Luke was saying. But I was there an hour, me and you, without a pint. I know, but then I didn't want to do what I always do and knock the fucking recording off, which I've just done with this. Yeah, but I've now gone through about 3 Bud Lights in about 15 minutes, so I'm on my way.
Excellent news.
What are you drinking? You're still on the Buds.
I'm on the Bacardi. I've gotten rid of the Budweisers now. I've ditched them off for the Bacardi spiced rum. I had this. I bought this last weekend on the Friday. I only had one tussle with it on the Saturday, and I've only got like a quarter of it left.
Oh, what? That's only got 3 in.
Oh yeah, well, it's a litre, so it's not as bad. But
your mic's really.
I've also got back.
Have you moved your mic closer to your mouth?
Maybe accidentally. Is that a bit better?
That's a bit better.
I got a quarter left of the litre. So what's that? I got backups, mate. It's my first rodeo.
Okay, good. Right. I didn't want you to be like, that's all you got. Because I've done that a few times. So I'm like, right, I'm not going to have a big drink tonight. And then we do have a big drink and I got nothing in. And it's fucking
you think,
so
I want it now.
I want it, gives it me now. Also, I want to throw forward to the Patreon. So I know we got to give some shout-outs because we've been a bit behind on shout-outs. And now is your chance to sign up before our summer deal ends. We're going to be stopping the half prices over the summer shortly. So if you want to get onto the Patreon and get our back catalogue and listen to all the episodes we have on there, join normally the £5 or the £10 tier, but at the moment they're £2.50 and £5. That's right, isn't it, Jack?
That's right, yeah, half price, baby.
And on the next episode of the Patreon, I really want to discuss the maddest Liam Neeson video I've ever seen. And as we know, he's done some fucking mad videos. So this one here, he's
PR absolute drop in the bollock, basically.
So on the next episode, I want to quickly talk about that. But on the recent episodes, what have we done? We've done films, Welsh reimaginings of Welsh films. We've
done a little few things recently. We've had some very, very important polls. For example, Frank's took a very I'd say I don't look too bad in it, I guess, but a picture of me in a hanging basket chair. We decided we wanted to throw that to the people and say, is that good? Is that bad? Guess what? 60% at the moment, people are saying 60% I look good, 40% I look. I've said grow up and sit on some proper furniture. But apart from that, we actually do have episodes as well.
You just look like you got like rubber shoes on as well. What they called like Crocs. So you look like
the Crocs, my garden shoes, mate. All right, no garden shoes. But yeah, we got polls on there. We've got extra episodes. We tried to interact with the Taylor, the gang, that follow us on Patreon as much as you can. So if you're interested in that, now's the time to do it, because it's going to cost you a pittance at the moment. And then if you don't like it, you can bugger off. That's fine. We're not going to judge you on that. And as I've said before, if I was you, I would join now while you got the cheap stuff. Listen to every single episode we've done, and then bugger off. That's what I would do. No. So I really wouldn't judge you for that.
We don't do adverts on here. We're a listener-sponsored podcast. So everyone who's on the Tadey, or on the Patreon, is a reason why we can keep doing this. So everyone who's signed up, we thank you an awful lot. You help us keep this going. You keep the lights on. We really do appreciate it. But we also appreciate that times are hard. So if you've had to leave for any reason, then we'll just cry into our hands and write you on our arms as a little death note, and we will find you.
Carve yourselves into our wrists so that when the coroner finds us, they'll know whose fault it was.
They'll know who did it.
We'll know who did it. Yes, but join the Patreon now while it's nice and cheap before we fucking rack up the price.
This will probably be the last time that we have it on there, actually, because this episode will probably come out towards
actually, now when we're thinking about release dates, this will probably be the last one. So, get involved. We love all our Patrons, and we're never nasty to you lot if you join. We're only nasty to the normal people. Yeah. Right. I got 2 shout-outs actually to do, right? So I'll do our obligated one first, which is one of our new Patreon members from the sale, I assume. Who knows? But this one is going to be a fun one to do with our little guess the nickname thing. We're talking about Cheyenne.
Can we caveat? We're both clearly quite pissed because we've had to redo the intro a couple of times, and I assume there'll be a lot of editing around this.
Like 3 times, yeah.
Yeah, we're clearly a bit giddy. We've not done a pod together in ages, and we've not done we haven't done it drunk together in ages, and now, baby, we are drunk. I'm a couple of sheets to the wind. Are you?
We're getting there. We're excited. I'm
having a laugh
about it. So I'm having a laugh. Just sue me. Right. So the next shout out is. I know. I don't. Really, apologies if I'm pronouncing this wrong.
Really, apologies.
Really, apologies.
Listen, apologies really, apologies.
Yeah. Okay. Cheyenne Carlson or Cheyenne Carlson?
You said the exact same way both ways. You said Cheyenne.
No, I said Cheyenne or Cheyenne. I'm not quite sure. Like Cheyenne. Isn't Cheyenne like a thing of a tribe of Native Americans? The Cheyenne.
Yeah, the Cheyenne. Yeah.
Is that Cayenne though?
Well, cayenne pepper is what you're thinking of there, I reckon. Cheyenne.
Well, that's an easy nickname for Cheyenne / Cayenne.
The old cayenne pepper.
The old Cayenne Carlson pepper.
A couple of double C's, though. Cheyenne Carlson.
Oh, we've already done double D before on that poor girl.
But we've got a more modest...
I'm pretty sure she dropped her level of Patreon after that, by the way.
Who? Double D's?
Ashley Levi, that was her name. Ashley Levi, yeah. Because we called her double D, and then
why? Oh, double denim.
She said they used, I don't want to go through it all again, but then basically she got in touch with us and she said, people in school did used to call me Double D for that reason because she had decent. Christ, I have to come back now. Because she had double D knockers, right? And then when I said that, you went, "Hello, Ashley," and I was like, "We're trying to veer away from the being pigs thing." Yeah. I hope that wasn't why you downgraded, Ashley. God, this is a shambles. Anyway, cayenne pepper, Cayenne Carlson.
Is it Tucker Carlson, that really right-wing guy? Who's like,
I don't know if they'll like being compared to that. No, I mean we can go for it. Yeah,
I've just noticed so many of the. Actually, that's a spoiler for an upcoming one. All right, so
Cayenne Carlson.
I mean, that is probably the coolest name we've had so far. I'm Cayenne Carlson, and I'm here to clean up this town. Sounds like I'm assuming that sounds quite American. I'm assuming they have cleaned up a saloon or two. They've come in there.
I was going to say that's such a My name's Cheyenne Carlson. I come here to drink beer and kick ass, and I'm all out of beer.
Well, if we gave her like a caveat in between, so Cheyenne something Carlson, what do you reckon it'd be?
Oh, like Cheyenne, a boxer. Yeah.
So you know that we said Tucker Carlson.
Cheyenne Chili Pepper Carlson.
Cheyenne. Cheyenne Chucker Carlson. Like Tucker Carlson, but Chucker because she chucks him out the saloon. She's like, I'm Cheyenne Chucker Carlson.
I guess that works, yeah. I
thought that was class.
You know, no, Chucker Carlson. I guess maybe. You know what it keeps bringing me back to? Have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
With Decaps and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And there's a bit where he's doing a bit in like a saloon, and he keeps saying, "You get out here and sing a Chili Pepper heart out." That's what keeps making me say, because Cheyenne Peppers, Cayenne Peppers. It's just making me think of that. Sorry, this has been a shambles. Cheyenne/Cayenne/Cheyenne, whatever your name is.
It is probably the coolest name we've had, though. I do think it's got some.
Let me look through the list.
It's got some pepper.
I don't want to uncorroborate. It has got some kick to it. I'll give it that.
Yeah. All right. Cheyenne Cayenne Carlson. It has to be the nickname.
Okay.
The triple C.
Cayenne Chili Pepper Carlson. Yeah, fair enough. I've looked through the list now. I've glanced through the list. I can't see anything better than that. I'm also seeing quite double at the moment, so yeah, who knows? But yeah, there we go. That's your shout out. Right, I got another one.
Why are we doing doubles? Why are we doing two?
Only because this isn't an official. This is, do you remember Grey Dog and Brother Liam?
Oh, yeah.
Bless their souls, their saint souls. I've had a message from a person, like basically the people who that guy who I know, the guy and the girl who I know who know Grey Dog and Brother Liam. They got in touch with me the other week, and they were like, "I'm out with Grey Dog. I'm out with Brother Liam. He's blessed us." And they said he was just saying that he was having a great time, saying, "Oh yeah, they gave us our shout out on Tales for Wales and all this sort of stuff." So obviously that was like stroking my ego.
Yeah.
And then I got a message later then saying there's another guy with him who also is like a big avid fan of listening to Tales for Wales, and he was a begging for a shout out. So I don't know if he was begging; he just asked for one. But I want to make it more dramatic. So Ellis Roberts Jones from Ruthin, North Wales. There's your shout out, mate. You're done. That's it. If you want to have like a
ERJ,
Ellis Roberts Jones, ERJ.
Well, he's just got a free shout out. What the?
Well,
fuck?
This is what I'm saying. You don't get a free nickname.
You don't get the amazing experience Cheyenne just got, but you do get.
You gotta join up, right? And I found out recently as well. Grey Dog, who did have a freebie shout out, didn't get a free nickname, right? He had the good graces. He joined the Patreon. Sean Graham. He was Shin Graham.
Yeah.
If you recall. Well, so
is also
Ellis, mate. If you want a proper nickname done, you know what to do, mate. There's a fucking cold hard cash, mate.
Is Cheyenne? Is she a Taily? Does she get the personalised artwork, hometown, Mabinogion, all that stuff?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's on the big stuff.
Oh, that's fun, because that means we're going to get to learn where she's from and get to learn what her like. So, well, if you pay the highest tier, you get personalised artwork. Then after a couple of months, you get a hometown episode where we research where you're from and do some background information and some history, which is a really fun one. Then the third perk you get is you get a chwedl or a legend written about you based on your fears and stuff and your characteristics. Just
we ask you like a prompt, don't we? And we get all this info from you, and we sort of design it ourselves. Then. And
they've been really fun. So the last one we digged around that was maybe Luke's one, and that was really fun. Yeah, but whenever you have like Americans or someone with an interesting name and was like, right, I'm interested to see what yours are.
Yeah, it's fun with like the hometowns with the Americans because like we have to dig a little deeper usually to get that kind of. It forces us to work, but we like it. It's nice. Yeah. But also anyone who we would have sent out on Patreon like the prompts and stuff like that to like get this stuff from you. So if you haven't responded to it yet, please do. I mean, we've said it a million times before. I'll say it again. We're happy to take your money for nothing.
It's crazy.
But we really do enjoy. We really do enjoy doing these things. So if you do want them, get back to us, and we'll make sure.
It is nuts though. We've got like a decent amount of Patreon people, and so many pay the top tier and just don't bother.
Just never get back to
extra work. Yeah. I mean, ideal for us. It's you're giving us more for not having to do anything extra. But I do feel like
imagine they all turn around tomorrow and go back to Jesus, we're inundated.
Yeah. So anyway, this has been ramshackled. This will be heavily edited by the time you hear it, but. The gist is Patreon's a laugh. Get over there. Cheyenne's a legend. Cheyenne KN Carlson. What a name. ERJ. He just had a free ride, but you should now join the Patreon as well. But
if
that
you want
aside,
a proper nickname, mate, you can do it. You want to get to the dizzy heights here, mate. Shin Graham, right? Yeah. Come on, you know what to do.
But now, before we get too pissed, because this is absolutely chaos.
Shambles already.
Today's episode is inspired by recent travels that me and my wife went to north of England and south of Scotland. We went for our 1 year anniversary. We went to Bamburgh Castle near Berwick, and then we went up to Scotland and Edinburgh for like a week's trip. And if that name sounds familiar to any Netflix fans, you'll know it's from the hit TV series Last Kingdom. Last Kingdom is
one of our favourites.
One of our favourites. We talk about it a few times on here. It's based around the Danish or the Viking invasion of England, where Wessex is the last kingdom in what's now England to kind of hold out against them. And it follows Alfred the Great's life, plus a character called Uhtred Ragnarsson, or Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
And it's a kind of fictional historical drama.
Yeah,
really good.
Historical fiction. It's very, very good, and it's made by, I think, the original series. The first one is made by BBC, isn't it?
It was BBC America. The first
but it's still very good. It's like you sometimes that's associated with kind of lesser budgets and things like that. Yeah. But
the first series does have a low budget, but then it gets picked up by Netflix and has
it's
a great
still good
budget.
though. Like the gore and
really
the sort of action in it is brilliant.
And
also, I love the idea. Like, it's for our anniversary. And I'm like, can we do X? We're going up to Bamburgh Castle.
Well,
all right, we're going up there.
You know, I've married a good one because Em's like quite a girly girl, not really, never into history before she met me. But she was like, can we do a road trip where the Vikings landed, going all the way down to Wessex? So going from Northumbria to York, through Mercia, and all the way down to Wessex, because she absolutely loves this show. And Em is like, not a history fan at all. And I thought I've ingrained that on it. And that's her suggestion for our next trip, that we do a trip from the north to the south.
You got a goodie.
In Last Kingdom, it starts off, it's around the Viking invasion, similar to the TV show Vikings, and the lead guy is based in Northumbria, which is as far north as in England as you can get on the east coast, facing the North Sea, and it's the first place the Vikings ever invaded, a place called Lindisfarne. So it's got like loads of history around there, and I thought, well, how can I engineer this around Welsh history? So I was I'm very
curious, because you said you like wanted to get that Welsh connection. I was like, I'm curious to see.
And it was really easy. I was surprised, but like I do anywhere, I always quickly research and read and like Google it and try and find out just like history in general. So it doesn't have to be always Welsh, but wherever I am, I Google to see what the history is in that area. And when I Googled Bamburgh, I got quite a few cool things about Wales related to it. So the first part is its ancient Brittonic origins. So Bamburgh, it sits on top of this rocky outcrop, which is like on top of sand dunes facing the North Sea. It's like really, really well naturally defended. And it used to be called Dyn Gwari in early Welsh sources. So the etymology nerds out there, Dyn means fort or fortified town in Welsh, which highlights this site was like a key Brittonic fortress long before the Anglo-Saxons arrived.
Is that where like Dinas comes from, as in city?
I'm not sure. Maybe city does come from there, but Dyn specifically means fort or fortified town. So dinas might mean like a fortified, not too sure, not sure about that.
Yeah, like a wider thing like that, yeah.
But yeah, so it was called Dyn Gwari beforehand in Welsh. And you think, how come it's got a Welsh name if it's up in the north of England? But I'll get to that in a second. So yeah, like I said, etymology nerds, Dyn means fort, and that it was highlighted. It highlights that this here was a Brittonic fortress way before the Anglo-Saxons arrived. Its location is as far north of England as you can get on the east coast, looking out to the vast North Sea, the dark, scary, freezing North Sea. It's a stone's throw from Scotland, and it's a very unique identity in and of itself. It may have been the capital of a kingdom ruled by Coil Hen, a legendary figure linked to the early Welsh-speaking Old North, or Hen Ogledd. So as a reminder, Jack did a whole episode on Hen Ogledd, so if you just search that on our feed, you'll find it. But the Hen Ogledd refers to the region of northern Britain, primarily southern Scotland and northern England. That's during the post-Roman and early medieval period, so roughly the 5th to 7th centuries. It was home to several Brittonic-speaking kingdoms such as Rheged, Strathclyde, Gododin, and Elmet, which are culturally and linguistically linked to what we now call Wales. Although they're politically separate, they share a very common Celtic heritage, and many early Welsh poems and legends, like the one about the warrior poet
the Gododin and all that,
and Taliesin, that they originate from this area. So it's not Wales, but it shared a very common thread and spoke a very similar language.
They very much considered themselves like cousins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They spoke. Well, it would have been. It's not Cymraeg down in Wales at this point. It's like Proto-Welsh, if you like, Proto-Brittonic. But in up the Old North, they spoke Cumbric. And it's not a coincidence that it's called Cumbric up there in Cymru down in Wales. They very much considered themselves like cousins, you know.
Yeah. And then the Anglo-Saxons came. So around 457 AD, an Anglo-Saxon warlord named Ida of Bernicia captured Dyn Gwari, renaming it Bamburgh, possibly after his wife Beba, which is quite nice. But this marked the start. This marked the start of the role of the capital of being the Kingdom of Northumbria. So this area here used to be part of the Hen Ogledd, part of the Old Britons, and then the Anglo-Saxons came in, and then they renamed it Bamburgh. After passing between the Britons and the Anglo-Saxons about 3 times, the fort came under Anglo-Saxon rule properly in 590. Despite the Anglo-Saxon control, Welsh chroniclers remember the original Brittonic name and heritage and preserved it for a long time in Welsh medieval poetry and history. So it often would carry on with its Dyn Gwari name for a long time, despite the fact it's now been renamed as Bamburgh. It was also this big border fortress, and it was a cultural crossroads. So Bamburgh, which is what's now called now, or Bamburgh, as it was renamed, was like a key frontier fortress along the Anglo-Saxon and Hen Ogledd and Scottish borderlands for centuries. So it was like this powerful symbol of control and defence for Northumbria. It had to face old Welsh kingdoms, the Welsh to the west, the Picts to the north, and then the later in life, the first place the Vikings invaded. So it's an area that's sort of huge amount of conflicts constantly. And we're talking hundreds of years. This castle had been there, this town and castle has been there for centuries. But it was constantly being sacked, invaded, burnt, pillaged, and then built back up again.
Yeah. It's like one of those places that's just in the wrong place and just it's going to be constantly fucking attacked. Yeah.
The Scots wanted to have it on their border to be in charge of it. It's a great castle. It's really well defended. The Anglo-Saxons wanted it to stop the Scots coming in. The Vikings wanted it. It's a place for them to land because it was close to them from Norway. Like I said, the Welsh, the old Welsh used to have it. The old Britons used to live there. That was their safety place. When the Anglo-Saxons came south, they pushed them up north. So it's always been a really important keystone place. And more recently, with the Viking history, about 15 minutes up the road is a place called Lindisfarne, or Holy Island, which was the monastery the Vikings first raided when they arrived in the UK. So they came on their longships, they saw Bamburgh, and they carried on going, and they thought they were going to meet this big resistance, and obviously the monks or whatever didn't fight back whatsoever, and they had this plethora of riches and these big churches full of gold. And they didn't fight back, so the Vikings what the fuck is this country? But
we've got an absolute country of wet blankets around here, fellas.
And they thought that, and then they went down to Bamburgh thinking the same thing, and then they were met with like angry Saxon soldiers who were like, in this proper tough environment. So they were like really confused to like how they could just have all this gold that wasn't protected. And then down the road, they have this castle that is so heavily fortified. But at the time, most of Britain was Christian, so they would never have attacked monasteries and things like that. That's why monasteries didn't have to be defended, because they didn't have anyone on the island who wasn't Christian, really. It's also, Lindisfarne, or Holy Island, is the location for the new 28 years later. And it has this great causeway that disappears when the tide comes in and out. So if you've seen it... that's you can go visit there. It's up in Northumbria, with a place where they have this like refuge. This all this. How
does that
on.
work? By the way, is that something, a causeway, something that's like, I'm assuming man-made?
It's but now got
how would they make that?
Yeah, I think it's similarly to like Sully Island. Do you know, like the tide goes out?
Yeah, I know when like the like it's just a lowland thing, but like that one. I mean, don't
I'm pretty sure the causeway.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it anything like in 28 years later? This isn't a spoiler, by the way. It's very early in the film. There's like, it's like almost like a narrow path. It's very like, it looks very man-made.
I think
it's different with Sully in that like the tide just goes down and it just becomes like land essentially.
I think it's like a peninsula that it's just submerged by water, because you know when the ice age or whatever happened, that part just got covered up. So I'm pretty sure it's like a peninsula, which they've now made into a drivable causeway. But
probably over the years they've just like developed it into being a much more sort of direct
specific direct thing. But it is cool to see, man. It's like when we were there, the tide had just taken over, so we can cross over. But if you do cross over, you've got to kind of stay there for the whole day. We can be asked with that. But like I said, this has had like loads of conflict. Crazy things happening there, really significant, and it's made it a site of ongoing interaction, whether it's like warfare or alliances or diplomacy between the Anglo-Saxons, the Welsh, the Scottish, the Vikings. It's like an incredibly rich area. And another connection to Wales, during the medieval period, so a good couple of 100 years after the Hen Ogledd had fallen to the Saxons, and then after the Bamburgh Castle had been Bamburgh Castle had been set up and the Vikings have been there back and forth. We're talking, maybe 500 years after all this stuff had happened, from the start of the Hen Ogledd past the Vikings and now through to medieval period. Bamburgh Castle, which is now called, like other castles on the East Coast like Scarborough, would hold Welsh prisoners from Edward I's campaigns in Wales. They would. It served as a place to detain really important Welsh commanders captured during conflicts. And if you look at a map, it's a really long distance away from Wales. So Wales is the west of Britain, and this here is on the east coast of England. So it meant it was a really far distance away. By car, it's a long distance, let alone walking. So it made rescue attempts,
marching prisoners. Yeah.
It made rescue attempts like completely null and void, and Wales has never had a strong navy, so we were never going to get around there. So a lot of the time, Edward I would put really important prisoners and like influential leaders at Bamburgh and Scarborough Castle. And then I wanted to talk about the linguistic and cultural legacy of it. So the survival of the name Dyn Gwari in Welsh texts shows how the Welsh remembered and preserved their connection to the site even after it was firmly in Anglo-Saxon hands. And this castle,
stuff like the sort of the historic names of things, like we talked about that in the last episode as well.
Yeah,
I love all this stuff.
I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail because I really like that as well. But this castle is like a really good example of the history of Northern England and Southern Scotland. It's like really intertwined with like Brittonic culture and like the Welsh roots as well. Like there's in the south and stuff that had a lot more Roman influence and stuff. And, that's kind of been lost a little bit. But this area of the north is like the combination of Northern English, Scottish, and Welsh is quite linked. It's quite why we get on very well as peoples.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bit of a brethren between like those kind of like Northern English or Scottish or Welsh. You put any of them in a pub and they'd get on quite well, I reckon.
Definitely, yeah.
So, I'm going to go through some quick, cool, bite-sized facts before I get to some more etymology. But the castle's original name, or Brittonic name, Dyn Gwari, literally means Fort of Gwari, and Gwari was most likely a local chieftain or king. Some scholars link Coil Hen. So remember I said this is probably the capital of Coil Hen's kingdom in the north. Some people, so he ruled that area. Some people often think maybe he is the origins of Old King Cole. You know, that child story. So they think Coil Hen might be the origins of Old King Cole, although that's also hard to 100% confirm.
They sound similar, okay? It must be something to do with it.
Yeah. And in Welsh, hen means old, so Old King Cole and Coil Hen might be quite. There's some.
Sometimes it's just coincidence, but sometimes it's like it's too much of a coincidence to be not connected in some way.
Bamburgh has this fantastic, dramatic cliff top location, and it made it pretty much impregnable, especially because for the first 1400 years after 0 AD, the UK didn't really see huge ballistas or things that bring down walls. It was nearly impregnable. It was this fantastic castle on a cliff top. Anyone who tried to invade
this is the third castle we've done that's on a proper cliff top sheer edge kind of drop and stuff like that. It's such a in terms of defensive positioning, it's it's up there, isn't it? It's top up there. Yeah,
you just need to. So it means you'll be resupplied by the sea. It means it you could defend it with I read a thing saying if there's 300 people attacking it, 300 Vikings attacking it, you could defend it with 20 men. So if you think of Viking warriors as the ultra warriors. You'd only need 20 people to defend this castle, and because the you'd have battering rams and stuff, but they could, if you had big enough walls and doors, they could hold that. And we never had trebuchets and things for ages. So up until they had siege weapons, the castles were really impregnable.
You're right in that. I think a lot of sort of films set in medieval times, they make you think catapults, trebuchets, siege weapons were a dime a dozen back in the day. They were very late. Medieval period, you know what I mean? It was a long time before they got through.
Mostly they were used in the Crusades, not in the UK. So it was it wasn't really as big a thing here. So this castle had withstood, and it was a prized place by all rulers, whether the Anglo-Saxon, Picts, Hen Ogledd or Viking. It was really, really.
I was going to say it's whoever owned that. It's one of those poison chalice things where even if you'd conquered that castle, whether it was the Hen Ogledd, the Saxons, the Picts, whatever, you would have such a trouble defending it because everyone's after you. Even though it's a perfectly placed castle, there's always someone going to want that because it's such a great place to have.
And it was called the Cradle of Northumbria because it was the most important early medieval sites in Britain. And if you watch the show Last Kingdom, you'll know this person. But there's a famous Bernician king called Oswald who ruled Bamburgh, and he was later revered as a saint of both England and Wales. That's how important he was. And they have Oswald's heart. And when saints used to die back in the day, they used to split their body and put pieces of them in churches. So one place would have his teeth, one place would have his fingers, one place would have his heart, and King Oswald's heart was a really important part of Bamburgh Castle. Mad, but that's what they say.
A bit barbaric, actually, when you think about it.
I thought that. I thought it's not desecration of a body, but that was really
it's all right when the fucking churches do it. Isn't it? Yeah,
but nearly all churches would have that. So most churches at the time would be set up with part of a saint's body, a part there.
Yeah, they call it holy relics and things, aren't they?
I mean, it does sound like you're playing a game, but that's what they were. Now, this wasn't a hugely long episode, but me and Jack both love etymology and the meaning of words and where they come from. And in my opinion, etymology is fascinating for history nerds because it reveals hidden layers of the past, place names, words, and phrases. They act like linguistic fossils, preserving clues and ancient cultures and migrations, conquests, all that stuff, and things that we have every day in life that records may have lost, but the fact that towns are named after them, we have that direct link to them. So I've written down some of the ones that are in that area and that I learned about when I was up there because I was why do I keep saying places with the end in BURGH? Why do they all end in Berg?
Yeah.
Or why do they all end in Wick? So I went on a bit of a deep dive on them, and I've got a couple here to go through if you'll lend me your ears.
Absolutely.
So, Burgh, Burgh, or Brough, or Bourugh. Oh,
the ones that like bruh at the end, or borough, or whatever. Yeah. Burgh, sorry, yeah.
Quick side note, I love it that Australians and New Zealanders call Loughborough Lugabarooga. That's fun. Lugabarooga, mate.
Lugabarooga.
Yeah.
It's much more like party time, that, isn't it? Lugabarooga, baby.
But it's an old English or an old... So in Old English, it was Burr. That's how you pronounce it. In Old Norse, it's Burgh. But its meaning is a fortified place or stronghold. So like Edinburgh, Bamburgh, Scarborough. So they're all like different ways to spell it. So, but they're the Scarborough, Bamburgh, or Edinburgh. They refer to defensive settlements, and these are really interesting because Alfred the Great, he's the person who's credited with the inception of the Burgh town. He created like a network of these fortified towns that we now call burhs to defend the kingdom against Viking attacks. So these are strongholds that became the foundation of many English towns and were like a key part of Alfred's military and administrative reforms. So he used them to like set up a dominance and assert Anglo-Saxon ways, and he'd have them all the way from the north all the way down to England. And he'd help, pay for them and get them set up. But it set up a West. It showed his influence, but also it meant slowing them down. So when the Great Heathen Army came, which was like this huge swelling of Vikings who all turned up at one time, these burghs and these boroughs completely slowed down their march because they had to conquer each one at a time.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like they're almost like the wide castles almost, and they like a less concentrated castle, but like really well defended.
So not as good as
like I was just saying that it's not as concentrated as a castle. That like sort of a relatively speaking small area of like highly fortified.
Well, like Bamburgh Castle,
it's like exactly, but it's like a wider area that's still pretty hard to get through. You know what I mean? It's harder than just your standard bog standard village. So it just, like you said, it makes everything slower for them as like an invading force.
And before these, you'd have a castle or you'd have a village. So this was like combining the two. So like Bamburgh Castle, you're not going to take it, but they're not going to be able to like do any kind of harvesting. They're not going to be able to protect those people. It's only a certain size. Whereas
you could siege it, couldn't you? And then you can wait them out almost. Yeah.
But this here was having a big village with everyone safe inside, and people could carry on doing stuff. You could still have your farms, you could still have your cattle, you could still have all that stuff in there, and it'd be quite hard to get past. So, I
also love how like the burgh or borough or whatever, that sort of etymology bit. That's almost like the Caer of Wales. Like in Welsh,
you see this a lot.
Caer denotes like there's a fort there, sort of thing, or
so does Dean. So Caer means it was fortified. So Caer means a fortified town or a castle, and then so does Dean in Welsh, and so does borough. Like all these things in Britain, they're not just by coincidence. They're not just like by chance they call these things. They have a meaning, and that's what I mean with the link to history. The next one, for example, wick or witch, that comes from the Old Norse word vik. And that means like a bay or an inlet or a cove. There's also like an Old English term that means farm or settlement or trading post. So the idea is if it's inland, it's probably the Old English. But if it's up north on the coast, it's probably Norse. So up there, Berwick, Keswick, Alwanich.
It's like Warwick, yeah.
Norwich, that means they are bays or inlets or coves. And it's like coastal or riverside towns. They were like ports or trading posts for the Vikings. Another good one is by in Old Norse. It would be pronounced Burr. So that meant it was a village or a farmstead. So Whitby, Grimsby, Selby, or Grimsbeard, Selbeard, Whitbeard.
So they're like farming kind of towns or villages.
Yeah, they were common in areas settled by Vikings, especially in Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. And they were a legacy of Danelaw. So Danelaw is when the Saxons gave part of the north to the Vikings so they could settle and have good farmland because it's so much better than where they were from. But then they set up towns like Grimsby, Salisbury, Whitby. Another one for the Vikings was Fell. So it was Old Norse for fjall. It meant it was a hill or a mountain. So Scafell, Crossfell. They're really common in the Lake District, and it shows like a lot of strong influence from the Norse, the Norse language. But if it anywhere ends in a fell, that meant it was on top of a hill. And then the last one is ham, so Old English ham, and that meant a homestead or a village. So Durham and places like that. If it ends with a ham, that was an old village that was like would have animals there. Often combined with a personal name, so the farmer would state a specific person. So it'd be named after some people. But then one of my favourite ones, which is quite like it goes viral quite a bit, there's a Torpenhow Hill. It's a hill in Cumbria.
I was literally about to mention Torpenhow Hill. It's like a perfect example of like how different languages and things like that can breed like these unique names.
So you know about Torpenhow Hill. The story about it, when the Saxons arrived and they asked the Welsh what the name of that hill was, and the Welsh just said pen, which means hill in Welsh. So the Saxons used their word for hill, tor, and it became tor pen, so hill. Then the Norse arrived and they had the same process, so they added their word for hill, so haugen, and now that was Torpenhaugen, hill. Later the English called it Torpenhow Hill, which just, if you break it all down, it just means hill. So hill. So it's just like
the
people coming
ultimate hill, yeah.
Yeah, the
hill. I do enjoy that because it sounds like that sounds like a boomer post.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah.
but it actually is real, which I like.
I do like that one. So yeah, that there is the brief history of Bamburgh. It's a really fun place to go visit. I think the key takeaway is that it's not just a Norman or Anglo-Saxon relic. It's built deeply on Welsh and Brittonic foundations with cultural, linguistical, political strands.
I love that it's like part of the Old North because that's such a fascinating area of history for me. In that only I'm talking like a year and a half ago, I didn't even know that was a fucking thing.
Yeah,
like the whole Cumbric thing. Like this is, I didn't realize we had like our own little Welsh kingdom there back in the day. That obviously it got wiped out. Fair enough, not there no more.
But everything does eventually.
We're all but dust, aren't we?
Yeah, waiting to happen.
But it is interesting, like that, how the dynamic of that area and like that, like you said, that Bamburgh or what's it called now? Sorry, I can't call it anything but Bamburgh just because of Last Kingdom. Bamburgh, you can tell you can acknowledge why that was such like a sought after fort because it's such a stakeholder in the land, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, diolch yn gwrando. I hope this episode wasn't too chaotic, but we'll come back next week with probably a more mad one.
The power of post, mate, will make it okay. That's fine, yeah.
Anyway, diolch yn gwrando. Speak to you all soon.
Diolch pawb. Ta-ta.
All right, I'm desperate.